In the heart of Eastern Europe lies a land often overlooked by the world, yet it has been a crossroads for empires, armies, and cultures for over 1,000 years. Belarus, a country of dense forests, endless plains, and rivers winding like silver threads across the land. But Belarus is more than geography. It is a story of survival. Throughout history, its people have lived between great powers, Russia, Poland, Lithuania, and Germany, absorbing influences, enduring invasions, and building resilience. Yet before foreign empires drew their borders, who were the first to call this land home? And how did they begin Belarus's timeless story? Thousands of years ago, nomadic tribes wandered the forests and rivers of Belarus. Over time, Slavic tribes settled here, farming the land, hunting and fishing. They lived close to nature, building wooden villages and passing down myths of spirits who dwelled in rivers, trees, and stones. But these tribes were not isolated. Traders from Scandinavia sailed down rivers, linking the Baltic to the Black Sea. Warriors from the steppe rode in, bringing both conflict and exchange. Belarus became a passageway, a meeting place where cultures collided. However, the scattered tribes soon realized that survival in such a contested land required unity. They turned to alliances, forming principalities that would later be absorbed into one of Europe's great medieval powers. How did these early Slavic settlements transform into part of a mighty state that shaped Belarus's destiny for centuries to come? In the 13th century, Belarusian lands became part of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, a state stretching from the Baltic to the Black Sea. Here, Belarusian culture found both protection and opportunity. Belarusian became one of the official languages of the duchy, used in courts, documents, and literature. Cities like Polotsk and Minsk flourished, with churches, markets, and fortresses rising as symbols of strength. The Orthodox faith rooted itself deep into the people's identity, shaping traditions and art. Moreover, the Grand Duchy allowed Belarusian lands to avoid the direct domination of the Mongols, who ravaged much of Eastern Europe. For centuries, Belarus thrived as part of a diverse, multi-ethnic state where different religions and peoples coexisted. But history is never still. Alliances shift, empires rise and fall. When Lithuania united with Poland in the late 16th century, a new era began, one that would forever alter the soul of Belarus. Every nation hides echoes of forgotten voices. If you wish to hear the next one, a simple like and subscribe keeps the path open. So how did the union with Poland bring both opportunity and division to Belarusian lands? The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth became one of Europe's largest states, and Belarusian lands were drawn deeper into its orbit. Catholicism spread, noble estates expanded, and new cultural currents flowed in. Yet tensions brewed between Catholic Poles and Orthodox Belarusians. Rebellions flared, peasants resisted, and communities struggled to preserve their traditions. Moreover, as the Commonwealth weakened, neighboring powers grew hungry. Russia, rising as a great empire, looked westward with ambition. By the late 18th century, the Commonwealth collapsed. In the partitions of Poland, Belarus was absorbed into the Russian Empire. Once again, its people found themselves under a new ruler, their language suppressed, their identity tested. But even under foreign rule, the spirit of Belarus could not be silenced. How did Belarusians hold on to their culture and identity during centuries of imperial domination? The 19th century was a time of awakening across Europe, and Belarus was no exception. Writers, poets, and intellectuals began to rediscover Belarusian folklore, songs, and language. They celebrated the resilience of peasants, the beauty of the land, and the struggles of common people. However, the Russian Empire sought to stamp out these stirrings of identity. Belarusian schools were closed, the language was banned in print, and Orthodox faith was used as a tool of control. Yet resistance continued quietly, in secret gatherings, in whispered stories, in songs sung at night. Moreover, waves of rebellion shook the empire, with Belarusians joining uprisings alongside Poles and Lithuanians. Though crushed, these movements planted seeds of national consciousness. But the true test of Belarusian identity would come in the fires of the 20th century, when world wars and revolutions turned the land into a battlefield once more. So how did Belarus navigate the chaos of revolutions, occupations, and shifting borders in the 20th century? The First World War tore through Belarus, leaving towns destroyed and people displaced. As empires collapsed, Belarusians briefly declared independence in 1918 as the Belarusian People's Republic. But their fragile state was short-lived, caught between Soviet Russia and Poland. By the 1920s, Belarus was divided, part under Poland, part within the Soviet Union. Life on both sides was marked by struggle, cultural repression, political control, and economic hardship. However, the darkest chapter arrived with World War II. When Nazi Germany invaded in 1941, Belarus became one of the most devastated lands in Europe. Entire villages were burned, millions killed, and Jewish communities annihilated in the Holocaust. Yet Belarus also became a land of resistance, with partisans waging a fierce guerrilla war in its forests. But what happens to a nation when its very survival is tested by unimaginable destruction? After the war, Belarus was rebuilt as part of the Soviet Union. Minsk rose from the ashes, becoming a symbol of resilience. Industries expanded, cities grew, and Belarus became one of the most industrialized republics of the USSR. Moreover, Belarus contributed significantly to Soviet science, culture, and sports. But this progress came at a cost: strict political control, loss of independent identity, and suppression of dissent. The memory of suffering during the war was honored, yet also used to strengthen Soviet narratives. However, by the late 20th century, winds of change swept across the Soviet world. National movements stirred once again, demanding recognition of Belarusian language, culture, and independence. So how did Belarus finally step out of the Soviet shadow and declare its own path? In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Belarus declared independence, raising its own flag and reviving its national symbols. For the first time in centuries, it had the chance to shape its destiny as a free nation. But independence brought challenges. The economy struggled, political divisions deepened, and questions of identity resurfaced. Should Belarus look west toward Europe or east toward Russia? Should it revive its language or remain tied to Russian influence? In 1994, Alexander Lukashenko rose to power as the country's first president. He promised stability, but over time his rule hardened into authoritarianism. Elections were contested, dissent suppressed, and Belarus became known as Europe's last dictatorship. Moreover, protests erupted, most recently in 2020, when thousands took to the streets demanding democracy and freedom. The world watched, but Belarus remained caught in a struggle between past and future. So, what does the story of Belarus today tell us about the resilience of its people and the mysteries of its future? Today, Belarus stands at a crossroads once more. It remains closely tied to Russia, yet its people increasingly look for independence of voice and identity. Its forests, rivers, and villages still carry ancient beauty, while its cities pulse with modern life. The memory of wars, struggles, and resistance continues to shape Belarusian identity. Art, literature, and music keep alive the soul of the nation, even under pressure. But the mystery of Belarus remains, a land often silenced, yet never broken, a people often oppressed, yet never erased. The future of Belarus is unwritten, its destiny waiting to be claimed by those who carry its history in their hearts. So, what story will Belarusians choose to write in the next chapter of their nation's history? Belarus recedes behind us, a land of forests, rivers, and memories carved into the earth. But the world keeps turning, and the letter B has one more secret to reveal. Belgium awaits, with golden cathedrals, shadowed streets, and stories that shimmer like candlelight. Stay with us and subscribe for the next chapter of history, which is ready to unfold. Stay curious, stay inspired, and until then, this was History in Minutes.